Good morning.
Mike, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Have you always been comfortable starting rookies in the first game of the season, or is that something you've had to evolve into as the rules change and just roster development's kind of changed through the years?
I don't know if comfortable is the right word. I think it's it's the part of the landscape of our league. It's been a young league. I know ever since I became a head coach in '06, and we played a number of rookies then. But I think it's just part of how how the league has gone. So I would say I have experience at it and understand the why and hopefully have a good plan to help those guys get going and just be smart in how you use them. But yeah, so I'm confident. I don't know about comfortable.
Well, I just know some coaches in the past seem resistant to doing it early in the season and just kind of working it in as the season goes along. I was just wondering if you were ever in that group.
Yeah, I think clearly if you looked in the coaching 101 handbook, it doesn't say, "Yep, play those guys week one." That's on page 16. That's not in the gig. You definitely would like to see these guys get used to the repetition of a pro season. I mean, you got to remember these guys are getting ready to play in their first away game, their first NFL game, and really they're in the middle of the first real week of preparation. So, I do think regularity, training, how you build up to a game is very important for all players, especially your young players. So definitely, I'd prefer that they didn't play till later in the season. But then you can flip that conversation around and say, well, why would you want the rookies playing in December and January when those, obviously those are very, very important games. So I just think it's the nature of our business.
Clarence Hill, All City, Dallas. Kind of piggybacking on what David was talking about, the rookies, but you got Kalen Carson obviously starting his first time, maybe going against Amari Cooper. How ready is Trevon Diggs health-wise, and is he, without giving away a strategy, is he a guy you could travel with Cooper?
So you want me to answer the question without giving away strategy?
Is he healthy enough to do that? I don't know where because he has,
He's healthy. Yeah, I see him healthy, ready to go. Right as it's standing here today, I see him slated as a full-time player. But once again, this is Thursday. This is our first full padded practice since last Thursday. But yeah, I think Trayvon's been right on schedule as far as how much he'll play.
And Carson, you comfortable? I mean, obviously the challenge of dealing with guys like Cooper, who's
Let's go with confident, comfortable. I'm not selling. So.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. On Diggs, when you have guys coming back from those kind of injuries, what hurdles do you want to see them clear before you're like, okay, they're back. He is what he was.
Yeah, clearly a big one is, and CD's kind of going through it right now too, is contact balance, and get the contested catches, body on body work, going full speed, I think like today will be very important. We got 2 competitive periods today. We'll have a 2-minute competitive period. We'll have 5 shots of last plays of the game competitive period. So I think that really helps those guys to get into a non-scripted period where hopefully they do get those couple opportunities because you have to go up, get the football, get tangled up a little bit, and use your body to get out of spots. So I think that's a very natural progression that they all go through, and that's definitely a threshold that you see.
With Amari, when a guy plays his former team, do you often think, okay, he's going to want to show them something or anything like that when you get into those situations?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I mean, I think everybody wants to, there's a part of that in everybody. But, yeah, so I think we're all motivated personally from different things outside of our team goal and team energy.
John Machota with The Athletic. How much did you have to do with the design of that shirt?
The design?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I look like I design clothes?
So they just gave it to you and you're like, I'll wear it.
Not like a free T-shirt and a free sweatshirt. I wear what's in my locker. So I've always done that. I'm the easiest guy ever to get along with. So.
And then going back to the rookies, specifically on the offensive line, you've obviously coached a lot of young offensive linemen with Guyton and BB. What did you have to see for them for you were like, I feel comfortable with these guys being
Yeah,
there?
definitely. I think you just, you watch the way they go through the process. First, learning it, mentally, the understanding, because if they don't have the understanding, they're never going to have the connection with the guys next to them. Obviously Cooper has a tremendous responsibility in the area of communication, the cadence, snapping, obviously going through his background. So, passing all those tests. But at the end of the day, it's about padded work. I mean, I spent a couple minutes today in a team meeting just the importance of 9-on-7 drill. The 9-on-7 drill that we'll do every padded practice is not only for the preparation of Cleveland, but the development of our offensive and defensive linemen throughout the year. You just don't get enough padded practice. I think we have, 13, 16, whatever the number is for the year, and never how many in training camp. So it's just things like that. You work through it, and then then they eventually got to show that they can do it, and both those guys did, and that's why they're in the starting lineup.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How has the transition been for BB in terms of handling the calls and all those kinds of things?
Yeah, a natural football player. You definitely can see that just coming out of college. And I think anytime you see a player that plays multiple positions, but his play style stays the same, to me, that's a pretty good indicator of him hopefully making that same transition into pro football. He showed that early, but now that he's doing it in the area of, like I've talked about, with the communication, the cadence, and the snapping, he's very comfortable in there, very confident. He's been very steady. This guy doesn't make too many mistakes.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Mike, going off of the BB question, what's the challenge, especially for rookie center, getting the silent countdown and things like that in a place like Cleveland? And
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's obviously going to be a great atmosphere, and their fans are exceptional, the dog pound all the way through. So, this is a threshold he's going to have to get over. So, I mean, it's going to be part of it. Now he's played, K-State, and he's played in some big games. So, it's just part of the growth, So, but if I had anything alarming in the preparation phase of it, then we'd look to be concerned about it. But I don't have any concerns.
Matt Engel, Fort Worth Star Talking. Coach, with preseason changing now so much, and you get so many fewer preseason games, how many games do you need, regular season games, before you have an idea of what your team is good at and what they need help at doing?
Well, I think one thing you're always, I mean, I know every team I've ever been a part of, and especially every team that I've ever been the head coach on, I mean, everybody has something they're working on. I mean, it's, I stood up here last year and won a number of games by a lot of points, and the only thing people want to talk about was the red zone offense. I mean, but that's a realistic example because you're always working on something. I mean, very rarely do you come out of the gate. I mean, the only time I've ever recall coming out of the gate was 2011. We came out and just won like 12 in a row. So things were kind of fell in line pretty seamlessly. But my experience, that doesn't happen very often. So the reality is I think you're just always working towards that would be my answer. But, the one thing about only 3 preseason games, it's definitely different than the past. And I think any coach that's been in the league a long time would prefer more time to get his team ready. But the reality of it is we all have the same amount of time. So we're all playing to a level of football in September. And I think that's just part of being in tune with that and just really emphasizing, the keys, which you always are in the game of football, is just taking care of the basics. Don't go out, you can't go out and lose games by trying to win games. I think there's definitely a difference there. And then that's why, ball security and tackling, things that you don't have the amount of work, the live action of guys hitting on the ball. I mean, those are the things you just got to try to emphasize and drill as much as you can, because to me that's where September football really stands out, because you don't the fundamentals.
Mike, with you and Dak entering year 2 quarterback play caller, how much more of a, can you tell us like the understanding that both of you guys have of what you like, what he likes, compared to where you were week 1 last year?
Oh, definitely. I think, you look at week 1 last year, it was more about getting the plan set, more about direction, packages, being in tune with what does training camp tell you, the overview of your menu, get into a week's preparation, what are you specifically highlighting? So, I mean, that's a maturation process, in my opinion, between any quarterback and play caller, where now the conversation is always what's next. I mean, you know, what comes off of this one immediately. And I think, you know, one thing you always look for with play callers and quarterbacks is their ability to finish each other's sentences. You know, and I think we all clearly get to that point. And I feel like we're definitely in that direction.
Deshaun Watson, what do you see? I mean, we haven't seen a lot of him last year because he was nicked up, and then obviously he was suspended another year. Just what do you see from him on tape?
Well, he's a difference maker. I think clearly. I mean, was he 5-1 last year when we played, and you know, and he makes their offense different. I mean, to really, you got to give him a lot of credit to make the playoffs with 5 quarterbacks. You know, that's a tremendous accomplishment. But you know, they have a brand of football that they stick to. You know, they play their number 1 defense. You know, they have an exceptional run game. Their home record speaks for itself. But when he's in there, they're different because he's a playmaker. You know, he's a multi-dimensional type player, in the pocket, out of the pocket. So, and that's really what we're trying to focus on.
The 1% every day, what does that mean on the side?
Improvement, 1% every day, everybody.
No,
Ed. Mike Edwarder, WFAA. Wondering, 4 years ago, you played the Browns, obviously different defensive coordinator, a lot of roster turnover in 4 years, but you've emphasized defensively improving your run defense. How much have you talked about or shown the players that game because of it illustrates what they're capable of and the importance of playing the run?
Yeah, really don't feel like that game has a lot to do with this week. But, you know, obviously there's a lot has changed since then. But, you know, I think clearly, you know, what we did last year, the change in defense, you know, not only just scheme-wise but also technique-wise, those are the things we're really focusing on, and also just in the particular area of run defense.
Jazz Monet, Dallas Cowboys Media. The 1% daily improvement you mentioned, that's a philosophy usually applied to the physical and tangible metrics of a group. Can you share any of the things that you're hoping to improve by 1% daily that'll make a big difference by the end of the season?
I think the biggest thing that we're looking for is more in the emotional realm. You know, that's been a focal point for us, the emotional discipline and the challenges that, you know, you go through each and every year, you know, both professionally and personally, and just try to, you know, give different ways, you know, types of education. Like recognize O2X. I thought they did a phenomenal job connecting with our football team. You know, players, coaches, personnel department. It just giving us a toolbox of their experiences, and we're all different. You know, we all connect differently emotionally, but it's, you know, so much of our business is regulated and evaluated because the physical and the mental evaluation is so readily available. How do you really apply mathematics to the emotional realm? And so with that, I think education, the application of it, and particularly when you can share experiences of how and why it works. And then I thought O2X brought a whole different perspective to our football program. So that's really the 1% that I was after.
Jeff Colt with Fox 4. First game, of course, coaching with Mike Zimmer as your defensive coordinator. Does it take time to figure out how to collaborate in a game with a new coordinator?
I think it's never the same. You know, it's never the same. But I think it really helps that Mike's been a head coach. I mean, so you know, Mike's an early riser. He's here early, so you know, we sat here this morning, talked for a good 45 minutes. So I mean, you know, those are conversations you continue to have, and especially I went through with Dan, you know, the first year. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to competing. You know, I had a chance to obviously listen to him all 3 preseason games. You know, spend as much time as I possibly could the first 2 games, but you know, listen to everything the 3rd game. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty natural process. He's got a ton of experience. I don't have any concerns. So.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.